Good morning. First things first, get some coffee and let the morning sun soak in. Right? Let the morning sun give me the energy. Let the morning sun bless me with a new day. A little tip that I've shown you guys before, and I really hope that you guys are taking into consideration is anytime you have any dreams, right, and you remember them, or let's say they seemed really realistic to you, right, or they could just be a dream that it really meant something to you. I suggest to keep like a little notebook or like a little notepad next to your bed, so immediately you write it down, because I think that's important. You can look back after a month or after the whole year is over, right, and just look at the dreams and maybe see a pattern, or maybe see something that resembles something else, and you're like, wow. But for sure, try and keep it next to your bed, or if you remember it, right, try and write it down somewhere right away, because just how quickly it came, it could quickly go as well. You'll forget it. We tend to just think that dreams are dreams. Our dreams is our emotional body when our consciousness is, resting. Our emotional body still awake. That is why that is why we dream about certain stuff that happened to us, right? Because those are emotions that we felt, and we still feel emotions in our dreams. That's why you may feel scared, you may feel happy, you may feel excited, right? Even in your dreams, because that's your emotional body, right? Which is why it's important to write it down, because they can mean a lot of things. You can kind of see, right? You can kind of map out your feelings, right? Things that you were feeling, things that you were thinking about, and it'll also help you understand things a lot more. It'll help you understand situations that may have been happening to you a lot more. So that's a good little tip that I wanted to give you guys. This one feels amazing. Do you remember when you were a child? Do you remember how freely you would feel, right? How you would just do anything that your heart desired, and you wouldn't think about what other people would think about you, right? Because you were a child and you loved, right, to run barefoot on the street. At least I did, growing up in Cuba. Let's wait for that motorcycle to pass by. I remember all the lights would go out in Cuba because the government would just turn it all off, right, to save power or whatever. And then when that happened, my friends and I would all get together. Like all of my friends from the neighborhood would all get together, and we would just play outside. We would play hide and go seek. We would catch fireflies and put them in little jars. Even though thinking about it right now, I don't ever want to do that, because I don't believe in anything being trapped. Not animals and not human beings. But when I was a child, it was fun, right? Because oh my gosh, like the lights of the fireflies. But going back to that, right? When it would rain too, my friends and I would literally, right, go outside in the rain, and we would just play in the rain, right? The whole street would fill up with water, and we would just have the best times of our lives. Also, I remember I would make my little brother and some of my friends from the neighborhood all sit down and watch me perform a circus act or whatever. And that's an example, right, of how freely we would feel when we were children, right? I wouldn't think I was gay, right? Because you don't think about those things, right? You just think about being fun and happy, right? I wouldn't think about how much light I had in me, right? I wouldn't think about if I was being too much or too little, right? I would just be. And that is one of the traits that children have, right? Some children, right? I wish I wish all children had that. Some children are raised differently, right? Depending on the parents that they had. And depending on that, right? Depending on that childhood is how most people grow up to be, right? If they don't, do the inner work, and they don't go within, like everyone should, right? Because no matter what childhood you had, right? It's no one's fault. You as an adult, right? You need to take accountability for everything that you do, right? If you had a bad childhood, it is your job, right? To fix that. It is your job, right? To go within and heal wounds, right? I'm not saying it's your fault, right? But it's nobody else's fault either, right? And people shouldn't have to pay the price of that, right? Your partners shouldn't have to pay the price of that, right? People that come along in your life shouldn't have to pay the price of that, right? You shouldn't be bullying people just because you had a bad childhood. And the people that actually do the work, and the people that actually heal, right? And the people that actually take time, right? And they look at their childhood and they take accountability for the childhood that they had, right? Those are the people that grow up to be differently, right? They make something out of their lives, right? They become a better person, and they actually succeed, and they actually accomplish things, right? And if you had a normal childhood, then there's really, right, no excuses for you to be out here doing bad in the world, right? If you had a good childhood, you should be making something out of yourself. You should be accomplishing things, right? You should be trying to make yourself better, right? Also, when you're a child, right, it is when you start building yourself, right? The things you like, the things you love, right? Whether it's singing, dancing, right? Whether it's helping people, right? Being a doctor, protecting people, being a police officer, whatever, right? That is when you start to grow that thing, right? That fire, that passion for what you want to be, when you grow up. And what happens, right? A lot of the times, life happens, right? Then you go to school. Why is my hair always? Then you go to school, right? And you start to socialize with other kids. You start to make friends. And you start, seeing different personalities and seeing different attitudes, right? And it is, right, through that time that our inner child could start to hurt without us even realizing it, right? People may call you things, people may call you names, people may start bullying you, right? And it is through that time that we start to take those words, right? To take that judgment from those people. And we start to think, dang, is this really bad? Am I really gay? Like me, right? People will call me gay before I would even know I was gay. And you start to think that those things, right, that makes you who you are, that makes you beautiful, and that makes you unique are bad, right? When in reality, it's not, right? Those are the things that make you beautiful. Those are the things that make you unique. Then you start to tell your parents what you want to be when you grow up, right? And if that doesn't make you money in their head, they're like, no, why don't you be a doctor? Why don't you be a lawyer, right? Why don't you be a surgeon, right? And then you slowly start to not do the things you love, right? You slowly start to forget about things that made you happy, right? You slowly start to dim your own light. And then when you grow up and you're an adult, you can't figure out why you can't be happy. Like you start to feel like you can't accomplish things, right? Or even if you did accomplish things, right? Even if you became a doctor or a lawyer, right? You don't feel accomplished, and you don't feel like you're succeeding, right? And you don't feel complete. Why? Because you didn't do the thing that you really wanted to do, right? You didn't do the thing that your intuition was telling you to do, because you were listening to him and her, right? Which is why I think it's so important, right? That goes back to staying authentic to who you are, regardless of people, places, and things trying to get in the way. A lot of the times people spend years and years, right, in college, in universities, right, to become something that they don't even want to become in the first place, because they're following someone else's dream, right? They're following their parents' dreams. They're following, right, what they think society is going to approve of, right? But then you have other people, right, that stay true to who they are, that follow their inner child, that follow their intuition, right? And those are the artists that you see right now on billboards everywhere, right? Singing, performing live, acting, dancing. Because, right, they went through a lot. They also went through all these oppositions, right, from people, right? Even their own family members. But at the end of the day, right, they always checked in with themselves. And they always made sure that if they weren't happy, right, if they weren't doing something that they love, right, they wouldn't be true to who they are, right? And they would rather do what they love, and they would rather, right, do what they're here to do, and let everyone else talk, right, and let everyone else say whatever they want. But those are the people, right, that actually succeed in life. And those are the people, right, that when they're successful, did you see that fly, right? That when they're successful, right, that when they're on TVs, when they're on movies, right, when they're on Broadway, right, those are the same people whose family members, whose friends, right, whose ex-co-workers, whose whatever, right, want to come back into their life, right? Want to let them know how proud they are of them, right? But yet, when they were going through all that, right, when they were trying to follow their dreams, when they were trying to build themselves up, you weren't there, right, to support. Instead, they would have listened to you, they wouldn't be where they're at right now, right? But that is when we have to be smart and wise, right? And we have to know that as long as you're following your inner child, right, as long as you're following your intuition, like I always say, right, as long as you're doing what makes you happy, right, what your heart desires, you'll be fine at the end of the day. Yes, there's going to be turmoil and there's going to be chaos and conflict on the way there, but, right, that destination is assured. You just have to keep going through whatever storms life brings you, right? You have to learn from those storms, right, to become a better you, right? And you also have to be willing to take accountability in life, right? Some things may not go exactly the way you want it, right? You may do things that you are not necessarily proud of on your journey, right? But you need to take accountability for the things that you do wrong in life, right? Because we're not perfect, right? I'm not perfect either, but let me tell you what I do, right? Is I learn from my mistakes. I learn from my past experiences, right? And I've taken accountability for anything. I mean, I haven't done anything that's horrific like that, right? But I take accountability for the way I may have behaved in the past. I take accountability for the things that I've allowed. Let me tell you what life really doesn't permit, right? You can't be playing victim, right? You can't have that victim mentality. You can't be like, oh, why is this happening to me? Oh, this is happening to me because I must be this, right? Oh, poor me, poor... No. You can't be doing that in life, right? Because life is really what you make it, right? Good and bad... You see that, bird? Right? Good and bad things happen to all of us, right? But it is how we go through those situations. It is what we learn from them, right? It is how we come out at the end of those situations that really sets people apart and really, right, sets a successful person from someone who didn't do anything with their lives. And that is you taking accountability, right? And that is you leaving that victim mentality behind, right? And if you truly did something, right? If you truly hurt someone, right? If you really did something bad to someone, then you must be willing to accept that, right? And take accountability for it. Like I said, nobody's perfect. But what you can do, right, to start is take accountability and say, yes, I did do this, but I'm not proud of it. And moving forward, I'm going to make wiser choices. And that shows growth, and that shows you learning from your past mistakes, right? And that, right, you will start to gain, right, good juju from the universe, right, from God. God will see that. The universe will see that. And all that adds up, right? Which is why it is so important, right, that as an adult, we heal childhood wounds, right? If something happened to you as a child and you couldn't do what you loved, right? Or things happened growing up. You see that bird again, right? If things happened while you were growing up, right? If you had traumatic experiences, right? It is very important for us to heal those moments, right? For us to go within, right? For us to face shadow aspects of ourselves so we can heal those wounds and we don't have to deal with them when we're an adult, and we can live freely, right? And you will see how amazing life starts to feel, right? You will see how everything will just start flourishing in your life, right? But you have to take accountability, right? You need to stop with that victim mentality. And you need to heal. And also, you have to be willing, right, to endure storms, to endure, right, anyone who gets in the way of you and your dreams. Peace.